But it's so great to be with you this morning. I always love, you're one of our main supporters, main church supporters. So I always love to come and bring you updates and bring you the faces that are on the other side of your money that you give every month to this church. And so it's just an honor. I brought some very special guests. I have my very first daughter. I've been in Thailand for 24 years now. I was 24 years old when I went the first time and became a mama to 52 kids, and a 2-month missions trip turned into 24 years of my life, half of my adult life now. Don't do the math. But the first face I saw in Thailand came up to me at 14 years old, and she said, I don't have a mom and you don't have a daughter. From this day forth, you're my mom and I'm your daughter. And I couldn't leave that nation, and she's here today. So she's been by my side for 24 years. I know she looks 24 years old. She's Asian and blessed like that. And that's my first generation. And God gave me a vision. He gave me Psalms 127, verses 3 through 5, as arrows in the hand of a mighty man. And so are children of the youth, that they will not be ashamed, but they will subdue and conquer the enemy at the gate. And so he said that these children in the Buddhist, Muslim, Hindu nations of the world, there are generations that don't know me. You will raise up a generation to know me, and that generation will make me known to their own nation. Well, now we're on our third generation. I'm officially a grandma. I'm the youngest grandma you will ever meet. But I have my second generation here. Oh, I don't know if you could stand up. She's doing media in the back. She's 27. She's my second generation. Her whole life has been raised in children's homes, serving in children's homes with her parents. Her parents were my first house parents, and she's given 27 years of her life, given her parents and her family to the ministry, to serving Jesus and to loving on children. Actually, she's so soft-hearted. She loves them so much. Her parents took a little break, and she had like the 4-year-olds, and they can be pretty rough, And so we had some 4-year-old boys, and they come off the streets when we first get them, and so they just started boxing, and Ope's like, please stop, and they're not listening. They just start punching away, and she just like falls in the middle and starts crying, and then they all stop, and they're like, we broke her. We're going to get in so much trouble, but she's the sweetest thing. I say, we have a saying around in Thailand that we are rescued to rescue. We're rescued to rescue and introduce people to the great rescuer, Jesus Christ. And so our 20-somethings, that next generation, they're the hardest workers in the house. She's on the worship team. She's a Sunday school teacher. She's teaching youth worship. There are interpreters. They're on the Promised Land working on our organic farm there that we grow about 40% of our food budget from there. And so they're in every level, in every department, basically, with the government and rescue and our outreach and all of that. And later on in the last video, you'll see a lot of them in action preaching the gospel. And so the promise and the vision that God gave me as a 24-year-old girl, never being on a mission trip, never seeing what a children's home was or what a rescue home was, but having the blueprint of God in my spirit and in my heart, and trusting him and obeying him and trusting that everything he promised me would come to pass. I'm walking in it 24 years later. He is a good father, and he is faithful to those he promised. Amen. And so we're at 128 children now in Thailand and Burma. We have 52 acres that we dubbed the Promised Land. We call it the Promised Land. We got it from the Thai, Burmese, Chinese mafia for girls and boys. We have family-style safe homes with anywhere from 4 to 10 children in each home. We give them a mama that doesn't sell them, a father that doesn't abuse them, and they get to stop the cycle of exploitation in their generation, in their own nation. And if one property wasn't enough, God gave us another 17 acres called the Boys' Promised Land on that property. And if that wasn't enough, God gave us another safe home, underground safe home that we work with the government by law and decree of the Kingdom of Thailand. Every rescued child on our border has to come through Life Impact stores and through that safe home. And if that wasn't enough, God gave us a boarding home for children from the local garbage dump. When we went there, it was one of the pools for the traffickers. We operate, our method is prevent, rescue, and heal. And so we target the pools where the traffickers go and get to these children before the bad guys get to them. And back in the day, there's about 350 people living in the garbage dump, and that was one of the pools for the traffickers because they would trade a child for a motorcycle, and in their life, they would never be able to sell enough recyclables to get a motorcycle. And so we went in there, started a sidewalk Sunday school, and about 100 children started coming, started giving their lives to the Lord. The mamas that would bring the children started getting saved, so we started a women's Bible study, and then the dads, they would come back and be praying for their husbands, so the dads started getting saved, and for the past 10 years, we got that environment, that exact area to stop selling their children, and there has not been one trafficking case, not one more child sold in the local garbage dump. People fell in love with that, fell in love with all that, and they said, we want to take it a step further. We want these kids to not live in the trash, eat in the trash, sleep in the trash anymore, and they literally just gave us a home, $250,000 home, and so we have 58 children in that home as well, in that prevention home as well for the children of the garbage dump to have. It's set up differently so that the parents can come and visit them because they do have family, but it's to give them a hope and a future. So that's in Thailand, and we are maxed to capacity. We've built 19 family-style safe homes on that property. Every home has house parents. Every home is filled with children. We're having to build 2 more homes this year to contain everything. Last year alone, we rescued 24 kids. I have a picture of all these little ones that we rescued, 24 back. Yes, they're cute, actually. They're so stinking cute. And back in the day, they were selling babies on our border for about $18, and we are the only ones back then and still now that will take babies. Nobody else can afford them. You have the Pampers, you have the baby mama, you have the formula, and so nobody else, once you rescue a baby, your budget goes up $300 a month, so nobody else will take babies on the border. But recently, because of the war that has popped off, the civil war in Burma. So we are on the Thai-Burma border. We have refugees, thousands upon thousands of refugees coming over. And we have a team that's stationed all along the border, basically doing outreach, doing prevention work. And we find out that next child that's going to be sold because the mama comes over with about 5 children, scared, running for their life from the war, just have nowhere to go. They're living under trees. But what they're doing in their desperation, they're actually selling the baby from the womb now and auctioning off from the womb. But our team, we've been doing this for so long that we are on the front lines ready to get that next child. And we're there no matter where it is. We call it the church that never sleeps. We have a team that's specifically just designated just for outreach and for prevention. So that's why we were on it and able to rescue 24 last year and 18 since January this year. So already, yes. And I haven't even been there half the time. And so they've done it all by themselves. The vision and the promise is reproducing now. I want to show you one of the kids one of the little ones that we just recently rescued. You can play the video of Kwan, please.
So I'm standing at the very location where one of our most recent rescues occurred. It was a little 3-year-old girl that was sold for 5,000 baht across this river right here. So I'm on the Thai-Burma border, and this river is where right now, because of the civil war, a lot of refugees are coming over just by the droves over to the Thai side. And on the Thai side, they're selling their children. Some villages will go for 10,000 baht, which is $300. Some of them will go for 40,000 baht, which is about $1,300. But this particular area right here, the kids went for as little as 5,000 baht. And 5,000 baht is about $175 to $180. So this little girl, what had happened was her mom had left the father when the baby was only 8 months old. She was still being fed by her mother, breastfed by her mother, and she had no milk. And so the dad, all he could do, he was a daily worker scrapping for daily jobs, so all he could do was work to buy this little canned sweetened condensed milk. And he basically put that in a bottle and shake it with some water, and that's what he fed her with from 8 months old to 3 years old. He was an alcoholic, and all his friends around him were an alcoholic, and so he'd go out and look for work, and he'd leave this little girl with his friends who would also drink. Well, one day when he went out for work, he came back and he found the little plastic bag of the little girl's clothes gone, and his little 3-year-old daughter gone as well. And so when he was looking around, he asked his friend, what happened? His friend said he passed out drunk. But what we later found out was she was sold across this river right here in this very area for 5,000 baht, $175. Thankfully, she was only there enough for 3 days. Because of our network, Because of our team, our rescue team, we were able to get her back from Burma, literally go in and snatch her back from Burma, and now she's safe in our homes. The father is an alcoholic who passes out regularly and leaves her in different places, and so he can't be with her yet right now, so we're keeping her safe until the father can get his life on track, and so that she will not be sold again. It's girls like this, little girls like this, children like this, that you are preventing, rescuing, and healing every single day on the Thai-Burma border and in Brazil. We thank you so very much. Thank you for being in this fight with us to end child trafficking, and together we will end it in our generation, in our lifetime.
She's so stinking cute. She's our little gift. Kwan means gift in Thai, and so that's why we named that video Gift. So if Thailand wasn't enough, we're also in Burma. Burma has been in one of the longest civil wars in the world, where they take little boys to be child soldiers. They have some of the largest amount of child soldiers next to Sierra Leone. They take little girls to be sex slaves for the military junta. They'll also take anyone to be weapon porters, put the weapons on their head in the baskets, and go in front of them to be landmine sweepers to set off the landmines so it hurts them before it hurts the military junta. So we've been seeing this for a long time. That's why the desperation, that's why the poverty on our border. But we've been also going in for a long time with the freedom fighters into the darkest region, bringing the gospel, bringing the light. Actually, not my daughter went to the front lines where the war was the greatest, where there was bombs going out. Everybody was running out, and she was trying to find somebody to take her to the front. And so they said, "What are you doing? We're all going, back towards the border. You're running to the front lines. You're running to the fire. You're running to the war. What are you doing? You're crazy." And she said, "My mom sent me here. I got to bring the gospel and I got to bring rice. My mom told me to come, so I can't go back until I deliver this rice and I bring them the gospel." And so she trained with the freedom fighters for 3 weeks and went to the front lines. But what we saw was a whole bunch of children there that were devastated from the war. And so we started 3 homes for war zone orphans. So now, to this day, right now, we just finished our 3rd one, and all of them are already full. And so taking Thailand, taking Burma, and as that wasn't enough, God put in my heart Brazil. So Brazil, I say it like this, it's always been in my heart, but I was faithful with what God put in front of me, which was Thailand and Burma, all the while holding the promise and holding the nation of Brazil in my heart. But there came a time where God took it off the shelf of my heart and put it in my hands again. And so we were, just going about being faithful in Thailand and Burma, and some pastors that I went to Bible school with at that time, about 12 years before, messaged me, and they said, "Lana, we don't know if you remember us, but we saw what you're doing in Thailand, and the children of Brazil are calling out to you." People don't know this, but Thailand is one of the number 1 in the world for child exploitation, and actually they say that Brazil is tied, if not above Thailand. They just got their numbers wrong, and nobody realizes it. Nobody knew. When we went there, we were so overwhelmed because children weren't forced or trafficked for sexual exploitation. Children freely sold their bodies for rice and beans because of the over-sexualization of a generation and because of the desperation, the poverty. As a missionary, I thought we had done away with poverty. I thought we had done away with starvation. I thought it was a thing in India and Africa and never in Brazil. But when I got there, I saw a whole nother reality. We went from the top to the bottom, and Brazil's very big. It's the size of America minus Alaska. And so when we went, we actually had the Holy Spirit target and highlight the capitals of child exploitation. And so we landed in 3 places. In the Amazon, in the jungles of Brazil, where it's an epidemic. 1 out of every 2 children are being exploited in some kind of way. In the northeast, Juazeiro do Norte, where children freely sell their bodies for rice and beans. I was at a home, and a 13-year-old girl opened up the refrigerator. It wasn't plugged in. They were using it as storage, and it was like the cord was wrapped, and it was more as just a storage thing, and they opened it up, and she'd shown me a refrigerator full of food, and she was smiling and said she just made this for her family. It marked my heart because working in against child exploitation, against child trafficking, I'd never seen anything like that so in your face before in my life. And then the other one is Rio de Janeiro, which is one of the most dangerous favelas in the world, called City of God, where there's documentaries about it. I have a video from one of our projects, so let's check it out. From Danger to Safety, please.
When João first joined the project, his behavior was incredibly difficult. He was always fighting, hitting his peers, and had a strong will to just survive. It was clear life had hardened him, and for a good reason. His story is one of unimaginable hardship. His mother, only 15 years old, was abused by a man nearly 40 years old. From that relationship, João was born, followed by his sister. His mother, struggling with trauma and addiction, eventually became dependent on crack cocaine and ended up living on the streets. Unable to care for her children, she left them with their stepfather, a man who was not only an alcoholic, but also severely ill and violent. He frequently beat João and his sister. With no one to support him, João was forced to survive on his own. At just 7 years old, he lived on the streets, never attempting school. To get by, he rummaged through garbage and sold candy on the streets. Our social worker eventually found him, enrolled him in school, and in our project. We provided him with a uniform, backpack, and for the first time in a long while, a sense of stability. The project became his safe place. He received all his meals there, and since he had no access to clean water at home, we washed his clothes. Despite these efforts, João was later found on the streets again, still selling candy to survive. The social worker intervened again, bringing his case to the government. In there, João created a drawing that deeply moved us. In it, he drew the city of God. The drawing showed the helicopter being shot down by traffickers, police officers shooting, and people running in desperation, bodies lying on the ground and people screaming. But in stark contrast, in the left corner of the picture, João drew a castle, our project. Within its walls, he drew his favorite game and placed the people he loves the most, Simone, Annie, and Luana from our project. This was a child who had never known safety, never truly felt love, until now. Without anyone prompting him, he expressed what he understood about the world, danger and instability outside, but safety and care within the project. For João, the project was more than just a place, it was his true refuge.
In that project alone in Rio de Janeiro, it was actually a crack house, and we turned it into a prevention project. We negotiated with the number one and number two, one of the most powerful drug cartel, drug traffickers in Rio de Janeiro. They're connected with the Colombian cartel. And my girl that's over it, she said, they're just like businessmen. We had to do a presentation just like businessmen like that. But it was because their kids were going to be in our projects. They're excited to help us. So they kicked out all the drug users and everything, and they said, you have a month to get out of this. So we got in, we power washed the ceilings. The ceilings had black in it from smoking all the crack. So we power washed the ceilings, and we turned it into a prevention center where we see 350 children weekly in that prevention center. They get 2 warm meals, and actually we have so much favor with the drug traffickers that before they're going to do what they do to the people, they bring them to us, and they say, you do what you do before we do what we do. And they give these children a chance with bringing them to us. And when we had our opening, our inauguration day, we had Pastor Chris McDonald. He was here last week. He had come because they'd helped us renovate that whole project, and he'd helped us renovate a soccer field as well in that whole area. And so he came to dedicate it, and we had 900 people. Their crack moms, the children, some of the drug traffickers, 900 of them, but we had number 3. He was the money runner for the drug traffickers. He'd come to video to send a news to number 1 and 2 what was going on. And so he was there and he was videoing, and then he asked my girl that's over it, who's the one that's responsible for all this? I want to talk to your boss. Who is your boss? And she said, okay, well, let me go get her. And so she got me in, and he said, okay, I want it to be a quiet room. I don't want anybody to see us talking. And so it was this, special room. So she came and got me. She was like, he wants to talk to you. Number 3 wants to talk to you. So we went in this back room, and I'm like, okay, he is the most, nothing can happen. Nobody will come and get you if anything happens to you. So I'm like, okay, we're going in a private room with number 3 of the drug traffickers. So we go in, and he starts talking to me, and all of a sudden I can't hear him, and I just hear the voice of the Holy Spirit, and he said, pray for him. And so I said, I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but can I pray for you? And he gets all serious. He said, yes. And claro que sí. Like, it means, of course, in Portuguese. And he goes, I said, can I put my hand on your shoulder and pray for you? I'm Latin, and I need to touch. And he goes, yes, claro que sí. And so I put my hand on his shoulder and I start praying for him. And the words that came out of my mouth were, God, I thank you for the blood of your one and only son, the spotless, sinless blood that's more powerful to wash away any blood that we have on our hands. And as I start to pray that over him, all of a sudden he starts to shake. And so I don't know if he's manifesting, if he's going to kill me, if it's going to be a demon and he's going to come, I don't know what's going to happen. So I said, and whoever calls on the name of that son, of that blood, the one and only son of God that you sent for us, and that blood to wash us clean, whoever calls on that name of the son, Jesus, shall be saved. So right now, we call on your name, Jesus, save us. And right then, and he's still shaking and manifesting. And I did that, and I opened my eyes because I didn't know what was going to happen. And he opened his eyes. It's really scary when you're praying and your eyes are closed. And so that's why the Lord said, watch and pray. And I was like, what's going to, I opened my eyes. He opened his eyes, and his eyes were full of tears. And he said to me, I've never seen anything like this in my life. And he said, but I guarantee you, as long as you keep doing what you're doing, the way that you're doing it, you will always be protected from us and you will never have problems for us. Do you know that it's been 2 years and to this day they protect us? If anything is going down there, they'll call our team and say, don't come, it's dangerous right now, don't come. They're the ones that are more protective of us. When we go in, there's only one way in, one way out. We had to get a VW bug. That's what you saw in the video. Put Life Impact big across it. We have big bright shirts that say Life Impact so nobody confuses us with anybody else. And when we go in that area, there's usually a 16-year-old with an AK-47 standing right there, and he looks in and he says, oi chia, and it means hi auntie, hi auntie. And so they love us so much. They love us like family. And every time I go back, I go and see my special friend, and we'll talk, and he hits the top of my car and says, go with God, go with God. And so I believe that number 3 is going to get saved for Jesus one day. So that's what's happening in Rio de Janeiro. We have 350 children that we see weekly in that project. They're getting warm meals so they don't have to sell their bodies for rice and beans because they don't live in functional homes. It's the only food that they'll get for that day. And then in the Northeast, in that area, we got a flip-flop factory and turned it into a prevention center. See another 350 children there. I was there, and they did this beautiful presentation for Mother's Day, and these little girls were like ballerinas and dancing. We got them a dance class and a dance instructor, and it was so beautiful because what these girls would be used for before, now it's the opposite, and they're dancing for their freedom, and they're dancing in their freedom. And I remember just watching them and how powerful it was for me to be able to use their bodies in a different way and to be able to know how to have their bodies used in a different way and worship to God instead of what would happen to them there at their homes. And so God's just really changing that whole atmosphere. But in that, I was there, and we were feeding them. They get 2 meals a day at every project. So we were feeding them, and somebody donated a little bit extra sausage. And so we had extra sausage that day. So they made an announcement, hey, everybody, we got a special donation of sausage. And all of these children, yeah, teenagers, yeah. And I've never seen children get excited over sausage. And I just looked, and I thought, my goodness, we're really changing their world. We're really changing their life, And that was in the Northeast. And then in the Amazon, we were up there. And, we in the Amazon, they say it's an epidemic for child exploitation. 1 out of every 2 homes, children are being exploited. And it's not a pie in the sky number, it's a reality. So the reality for the children, there's even folklores about the children and different things that have been happening. And this has been happening for ages long in there. They say that you can hear the cries of the water, cries of the children along the waters of the Amazon. But because the Amazon waters are too vast, you can't patrol them. Even the military is told if something's happening to children, you just let it be. Your job is to protect this country, and you have no authority and can't do anything about it. So all of this is going on, and nobody's doing anything about it. I remember when I first went to the Amazon, and I went to this couple, and they were missionaries. He's Floridian, and she's Amazonian. And I went in, and it was a Baptist couple. And she just fell on the ground in front of me and started crying. And I thought, what is happening? And she said, please don't come here unless you're going to start a home. Don't be another one that come and ask questions. Please start a home. I just turned away 12 children today, just today. And the judge called me with another 10 children. And I can't sleep at night because I know what these children have to live in, have to stay in. And there's nowhere to send these children. Well, we opened the doors to the first safe home in the interior of the Amazon. And right now, yes, right now we have 5 little feet. Our youngest is a 2-month-old baby, and our oldest is a 12-year-old little girl, if you could put the picture of the little boys that are in there. Our first children were a 7-year-old boy and a 5-year-old boy. And when I was up in the Amazon, the staff handed me their handprints, and over it in Portuguese it says, "We are a result of your yes. We are a result of your yes." And during that time, after it's all opened and going, the government right now has come to us and said, so there's only 3 homes in the whole region of the Amazon, only 3 homes. And they came to us and said, it is an epidemic. We need your help. Will you please start another safe home in the capital of the Amazon called Manaus? And they said, and then we just want to prepare you. As soon as you do, your home will be filled with 2 months because we have nowhere to send these children. We have to leave them in their environments and with all of the exploitation, everything happening because there's nowhere to place them. So the only next thing that can happen is once we fill it in 2 months, will you start another home? So we just want to tell you, prepare yourself because you're going to be busy in the months to come. And so we said yes, of course, and we're getting ready to start not 1, not 2, but 3 homes in the Amazon right now as we speak. Our team is up there working really hard to do it. But when I was up there, you know, it was one of my hardest years. And I was on the water of the Amazon, and God started speaking to me about how it's not a one-time yes at this altar, how it's not a one-time yes, how it's our continual yes, that it's a lifestyle of yes and of surrender. And I want to show you the whole year of what a lifestyle of yes has been, and these are going to be highlights, but then we're going to talk about the in-between of the yes. So I want to show you our 2024 yes video. I tear up every time I watch. I've watched it 100 times, but I tear up every time because, not just because what was done, but I know how much that yes cost. You know, and I think it in Christianity, sometimes we think that you know, our yes isn't going to cost us anything. We want an easy Sunday yes. We want a one service yes, maybe a 2 service yes. You know, we think it's just going to cost us our midweek night, or just going to cost us our Sunday morning. But Jesus gave us his best yes. He gave us his life. He gave us everything. And a true disciple, a true exchange at this altar is his life for our life for his life. He gave us our best yes. And I feel like in these days he gave us his best yes. And I feel like in these days he's asking for our best yes. And the yes of yesterday won't carry us till tomorrow. And the yes at this altar won't carry us in next month or next week. It's a continual yes. I lay down my life for your life for my life. It's a continual exchange. And I feel like that's what true discipleship is. That's what walking and living with him truly is. I want to show you something. Let's go over to Matthew 14, and we're going to go Matthew 14, 22 through 33. And I love this word, church. And my question to you today, what's your next yes? What's your next yes? What's your next yes? Or what was your last yes that we didn't quite step up on or step out on? The title of my message is Wet Feet, Water Walkers. And I feel like in these last days, God is calling all of us to be wet feet, water walkers, to live this God kind of life that he called for us to live. Not a comfortable Christianity, but a discipleship that takes us farther and deeper into places that we would never go by ourselves. I want to look at someone who gave his yes and had to continually give his yes, even when it wasn't convenient, even when it wasn't easy. And I want to look at Matthew chapter 14, 22. And it says, immediately Jesus made his disciples get into the boat and go before him to the other side, while he sent the multitudes away. And when he had sent the multitudes away, he went up on the mountain by himself to pray. Now when evening came, he was alone there. But the boat was now in the middle of the sea, tossed by the waves, for the wind was contrary. Remember that. The wind was, another translation says, against them. Now in the 4th watch of the night, Jesus went to them walking on the sea. And when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying, it is a ghost. And they cried out for fear. But immediately Jesus spoke to them, saying, be of good cheer, it is I, do not be afraid. And Peter answered him and said, Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water. Peter wasn't trying to show off. He just wanted to be where his master was. He just wanted to be where Jesus was. And Jesus wasn't in the boat with them on that moment. Jesus was on the water. Peter wasn't trying to just walk on water, trying to do something that nobody ever did, trying to do this. He just wanted to be with Jesus. He just wanted to be close to Jesus no matter where Jesus was. He wanted to go after Jesus with all of his heart, no matter where Jesus was or no matter where it led him. In 29 it says, so Jesus said, come. Everyone said, come. And when Peter had come down out of the boat, he walked on the water to go to Jesus. But when he saw that the wind was boisterous, he was afraid. And beginning to sink, he cried out, saying, Lord, save me. And immediately, everyone say immediately. Immediately, Jesus stretched out his hand and caught him and said to him, O you of little faith, why do you doubt? And when they got into the boat, the wind ceased. And those who were in the boat came and worshiped him, saying, truly, you are the Son of God. I want to go back to that one with Peter wanting to be with Jesus. When I was reading the commentary on this, you know, Peter wasn't perfect. I could so identify with Peter. I am so zealous, but I don't do things perfect. But my heart is always, when we started this thing, it was never to start an international organization. My heart was, I was rescued to rescue. God rescued me. He rescued me out of shame, out of pain, out of destruction. And I knew at that altar I was rescued to rescue. I know he did it for me, but I know that he did it for others too. And I tell you today, God's original intention is his eternal intention. He doesn't change his mind about anything. We are all rescued to rescue, saved to save, healed to heal. Freely we've received, so freely we give. And I see this in the heart of Peter. Peter just always he never did anything perfect, but his love for Jesus could never be questioned. And his motives in doing it could never be questioned. And I love that God put this in the Bible because it shows us we're not going to do it perfect every time. It's not going to be this perfect. Sometimes miracles are messy. It's not this perfect scenario. You know, if I was writing this story or if I played out this story, I said at last service, I would freeze over the waters if I was Jesus, or I would command the waves to stop so that Peter can get out and just walk on straight water, on flat water. But Jesus didn't do that. The wind was boisterous. It was against them. It was not the right opportunity. It was not the right time. And do you know when Jesus calls us to come deeper, to come further, to get out of our comfortability, to get out of the boat, when he calls us to come, it'll never be the right time. It'll never be the right environment. We'll never have enough capacity. We'll never have enough money. We'll never have enough time. That's why we need faith. That's why it's faith. And what I saw that when I looked at that, I was like, you know, because even a kind father, you're not going to teach your 2-year-old toddler to walk on a treadmill, right? That's not when you teach him how to walk. You make sure everything's padded and the table corners have pads on them. You make sure everything's, okay, now try to walk, you know, and I'm right here in case you fall. Even a good father, and our Father's good. So then why would Jesus have him do that in that kind of environment, in that kind of, you know, that season, that time? Because Jesus knew that his word come was stronger than any wave, than any storm, than any natural circumstances, that his word come had enough power to hold him up against anything that was against him, anything that was contrary, anything that would come against what Jesus told him to do. Jesus knew his word was powerful and true, and that he was faithful to his word every time. Every time. And I tell you, I don't know what waves are contrary to the promise of God. I don't know what waves that are contrary to what God told you. If it's the way of discouragement, if it's the way of disappointment, if it's the wave of offense, I don't know what waves are trying to come against any promise or any word that God has spoken to you. But I tell you, just like then, right now, his word is more powerful. His word is more stronger. His word will defy all laws of gravity, all laws of nature, and his word will uphold you above anything that comes against you, anything that is contrary to his promise and to what he spoke to you. Jesus knew it. And when I saw Peter, when it says, I love that it's so clear. I saw this story so clear because I was going through the same thing. I went to Brazil, and Brazil is crazy. And I got my bottom kicked in Brazil. And I went back and I was like, man, maybe this is too big for me. Maybe I bit off more than I could chew. Maybe this is beyond my capacity. Maybe I just close a couple projects and I just hide behind Thailand because Thailand's successful in man's eyes. We're doing good. It's reproducing. You know, our third generation are rescuing now. This is good. We finally, 24 years later, we got a good thing going. It's easier. What if I just kind of like take it easy now and chill a little bit in the boat? You know, I've been walking on for a while. Like, it's okay. But when I went back to Brazil, the first place I went to was that safe home. And the first faces I saw were those 2 little boys. And the first thing that I got in my hands was, thank you for your yes. We are a result of your yes. And I tell you, there are still people on the other side of your yes to God. There's still faces and places and generations on the other side of your yes to God. It might not be in the Amazon, and it might not be in Thailand. It could be in your family. It could be in your town. It could be in your lineage. It could be whatever it is. There are still faces and there's still people on the other side of your yes. And like Peter, I wish Peter can look, back and say, Peter, I was already walking on water. I was already doing it. Now I think I can't do it. I was already doing it. For me, I was already doing what God asked me to do. I was already walking on water. But we see, I love that it's so clear to us because it says, when Peter saw. And what happened was Peter got his eyes off the prize. We have to pay attention to what we're paying attention to. And Peter got his eyes off the prize and onto the waves and onto the circumstance. And he let the sound of the waves become louder than the voice of Jesus. The sound of the waves, the whistling, the storm, the waves crashing against the boat, the air, it became louder in his ear than the word that Jesus spoke to him, than the promise that Jesus gave to him. And it says, when Peter saw, in Bible school, we were raised with this saying, I don't go by what I see. I don't go by what I hear. I only go by what I believe. And church, I'm telling you, if we want to continue to be wet feet water walkers, if we want to continue to stay on top of that water, we must keep our eyes on the prize. We must keep our eyes on Jesus. And his voice must always be the loudest voice in our hearts. His promise must be louder than any opposition that's against it. Hebrews 12, 1-3 says, and looking unto Jesus, the author and the finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross. He started this thing and he's going to end this thing. And he knows the ending and it's good. The ending is we're healed, we're saved, we're deliverers, we're conquerors, we're impacting the world. That is the end of this thing. And he knows how to get us from point A to point B. Amen. We just have to keep our eyes on him. And I love where it says, and Peter saw, and so he sank. You'll always go in the direction that you're looking at. So if you're looking down, that's where you're going to go. If you're looking up, that's where you're going to go. I look up to the hills for where my help comes from. My help cometh from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. Amen. Wherever you look, that's the direction you will go. And so he looked down and he went down. But what I love about our Jesus doesn't condemn us. Our Jesus doesn't shame us. What does the word say? Immediately, Jesus was right there with his arm, with his hands, not with condemnation, not with shame, right there with his hand immediately, and stretched forth his hand and got Peter back up. Now this is where I'm going to take a little liberty, and I'm not being blasphemous, but I don't believe that Jesus would make Peter swim back to that boat in shame. I don't believe that Jesus would say, you just sit here for a little bit and you feel the consequences of of your lack of faith, and you wallow here for a little bit. My upbringing, my spiritual upbringing was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, so I know a couple little country words. They say when I go back to California, when I preach, they say you have a Oklahoma twang, and just wallow here in a little bit. I don't believe that that's what Jesus did. Do you want to know what I believe? I believe that when Jesus stretched down his hand to get Peter, that he got him back up, put him back on top of the water, grabbed his hand and said, okay, son, now we're going to walk back. Do it again, and this time you're not going to fail. Do it again, son, and this time you're not going to fail. And I believe then that Jesus gave him authority over the thing that took him down. That Jesus gave him authority over the thing that overtook him. That Jesus gave him authority. He had a newfound authority, a newfound confidence, a newfound boldness. And he got from that. That's what happened to me. I went back to Brazil. I didn't want to go back. But when I went back, I had seen that there was a newfound authority over the thing that had tried to take me down. And everything exploded. We're now at 42 staff, 88 in Thailand. And when I thought I was going to close everything and close a couple projects and all of these different things, we are doing the exact opposite. We're doing more than ever before. I don't know who this is for today, but God is saying, do it again, son. And this time you won't fail. Do it again, daughter, and this time you won't fail. My hand is there immediately, and I'll be right beside you, and we'll walk and we will do it together. I want you to stand up because I'm going to pray for you. Can you put the picture of the girl there, please, on the white girl in the crowd? In that video, we had a picture of one of our girls. And so this girl, when we rescued her, she was 14 when we rescued her. She's now 15 and a half. And during my time of going back to Thailand and kind of thinking of giving up and, just different things and not returning to Brazil and closing a couple things, I was back in Thailand. Thailand has become a place of healing, not just for the children, but for us too. So it's kind of neat. The place that was created for these children now is healing us. And I went back to Thailand. I went back home. And when I was there, we were doing our Christmas in their hands, heaven in their hearts, where we see thousands of kids and preach the gospel in the remote areas. You saw it on the video. And I wasn't a part of it. I was so out of it. I was so broken and so just discouraged that I didn't even have the capacity or the wherewithal to plan this year. So our team did it, and our kids did it, and everybody did it. And so I didn't know who was sharing or what was going on or who was preaching the gospel. But this girl got up. And her story is she was actually chained up in the room and locked, and the door locked, and she was treated like a Cinderella, physically abused in every kind of way, actually, from her own family, her brothers, her sisters, her father, her mother, her whole family. And one day she looked up and she said, God, I heard that you were real. I heard about you. If you are real, can you save me? Can you free me? Can you get me out of this if you are real? And she's just said, if you're real, help me get free. And somehow somebody left a door unlocked and left a chain unlocked. And she got to run to the street. Somebody picked her up, and she was black and blue and bleeding out. And we are the go-to authority on the border. We're on speed dial from the border control, the police, the hospital, from everybody. We're the child protection authority there on our border. So somebody called our team and said, you got to get this girl. She's bleeding out. So our team took this girl to the hospital, and straight to the hospital, bloody, bruised from head to toe, just all the signs of abuse on her. I mean, you didn't even have to search. It was all visible. And so got her to the hospital, and she looks up to our team and says, I don't care where you take me. You can take me to jail, but please just don't take me back to my house. They do horrible things to me there. Please don't take me back to my family. My team said that they had never even had any child say that to them, that it choked them up for a second. But they've been trained and they know not to cry. And so, they said that was the hardest one not to cry at, is what they said still to this day. And so we were Christmas, a year and a half later, we're at Christmas. All of a sudden she gets up. I'd never seen it, yet. And all of a sudden she gets up, and my children's home director whispered to me and said, she's our best preacher in the house. And she gets up. And she says, I used to be chained up. I used to be a slave for my own family. I was beaten. I was unloved from people that were supposed to love me. But then I heard about this God of love, this God that saves, this God that loves. I heard about this God, and I called on him. And that's why he's the one true living God, because he saved me and he freed me. And look at me now. Look at how I look. And she goes, and even don't I dress nice? I look cute, right? She said to all of them. And she said, this is why you need to believe on this one true living God and his only son. And do you know that 15-and-a-half-year-old girl led thousands of people to the Lord? Because of what Jesus had done in her life, how he saved her, how he freed her. And I was sitting back there, and I just heard in my heart again, this is why you can't quit. There's still faces on the other side of your obedience. There's still faces on the other side of your obedience. This is why you can't quit. And I tell you today, this is what I want to do. I feel like some of you, today it's going to be maybe one of the first times that you step out of the boat of comfortability and come out to the word come, whatever God's asking you to do, whatever he's saying to you, whatever he's speaking to you, whatever he's saying. It might be the first time, but I'm gonna call you to the front. I'm gonna say the same word Jesus said, come. In an act of faith, you're gonna step out and come up here in just an act of obedience. Do you know that there are faces, places on the other side of our obedience, on the other side of our yes, but there are also miracles on the other side of our yes. The first miracle that Jesus did when he turned the water into wine, his mother said, do whatever he says. Whatever he says, just do. Miracles aren't hard. They come from obedience. And to activate the miracle that you're looking for, it starts with your first step of obedience. There are miracles on the other side of your obedience. There are miracles on the other side of your yes. There are miracles waiting to be activated just by your response. I remember one of the hardest times financially for us when we were rescuing babies. Babies go on our border for $18. We're still the only place that will rescue babies because of that, because of the budget, because $300 a baby right when you rescue them. So we're still the only place that babies can go. And I remember financially, it was one of the hardest times. We were doing everything. We had like 5 jobs, and that's when social media wasn't a thing, and we didn't have anybody do media. We were too busy rescuing children, changing diapers, taking them to hospitals. Like, we were doing everything. And we didn't have time for media or social media, and nobody knew what we were doing, and it was life or death. We rescued our first 8-year-old girl for $24, and so that was the very beginning. And from it all, when we started rescuing babies, I was like, hey, how am I going to feed them now? And the local clinic, they called me, and they said, hey, we have another baby. Can you come and get him? And I remember saying, hey, I can't even feed the kids we have right now. It's not responsible for me. Is there anywhere else you could save them? I'm not looking over for numbers. We're looking for quality for these children. Is there anywhere else that you can send them that'll do a better job? And they said, Lana, you're the only one that'll take them. There's nowhere else to send them. And I was coming back to get, who's my children's home director now, Larissa Brown. The team that's been in Thailand has met her. She came over when she was 18, and I think she's 37 now, has been my children's home director. And I spent the last money that I had in my bank account to go get her because I didn't want her to get a man with a tan and a plan. I needed her to come and run my children's homes and get her on that plane before she got married right out of Bible school. And so I used my savings. Now we want them all to get married. Now I'm like, can you please get married and give me grandbabies? Now so I used my savings and bought a ticket, and I had nothing in the bank account. And I remember thinking, I don't know how I'm going to buy these children rice when I get back. I don't know what I'm going to do, And I looked at my air conditioning unit, and I thought, okay, I'll sell it. It's worth $500 that time. $500 would be half a year rice. And I remember, and you have to know, it's so hot in Thailand. If you sell your air conditioning unit, that's the lowest of the low. Like, that's the bottom of the. You're so desperate. You're the most desperate in the nation if you do that. And so I thought, that's what I'm going to have to do if I don't have any money. And I went back, and there's just a series of events and miraculous things that happened. But I stayed with some friends, and they said, Lana, what's your $1 million God dream? And I said, my $1 million God dream, you American, I just need rice for my babies. You American. And I thought that in my head, but out of my mouth, I said, I need land to build my vision because it's too big to rent, and I can't rent my vision anymore. My vision's not to be rented, it's to be built. And he looked at me and he goes, really, I know a little bit about land. Didn't know what he'd been doing. I hadn't seen them since Bible school 10 years before that. Starts drawing out land. And he said, you need this much. You're going to have 8 family-style safe homes. We just built our 19th family-style safe home. You're going to need 8. You're going to need this much acres, this many children. He said, you're going to need about $500,000. Well, $500,000 to a little girl that just needs $1,000 for rice is a whole lot of money. And I remember just thinking, you American, $500,000. And I was walking up the stairs. I said, can you excuse me? I'm tired. I'm jet lagged. I just want to go to bed. I remember grumbling, $500,000. I just need rice for my babies. You American, always thinking so big, dreaming so big. You don't know the reality. Children are dying and being sold in front of me. You don't know this reality. I remember just grumbling in my head, in my heart. Went to bed that night. I remember laying down and saying, God, I'm doing all that you asked me to do. I'm doing what you told me to do. You sent me here to rescue children. I'm doing everything I know to do. Something has to give. Went to bed that night, and I just remember a tear streaming down my face. Just like I was at my end, just done, didn't know what else I was going to do. Woke up that next morning to his wife shaking me, saying, Lana, get up, get up. Aaron got you a meeting with his boss. He's the largest custom home builder in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Get up, get up. They're going to get you your land. They're going to build you your homes. Get up, get up. And as I started to sit up, the Lord spoke to me. Psalms 127, verses 1 through 3. And I did it all while you were sleeping. I don't need you to figure out how you're going to do my ministry, how you're going to save my children, how you're going to reach my border. I don't need you to figure it all out. I just need 2 things from you, Lana. I just need your trust and your obedience. Can you give me 2 things and I can do everything else? Just give me your trust and give me your obedience. Those are the only 2 things that I'm requiring of you. That's the only 2 things that I need you to do. Can you give me those things? And I said, yes, sir. And the rest is history. That's how I got one promised land, not just one, but 2 promised lands, but now 3 promised lands. And I'm like, okay, can we calm down a little bit now? You know, I'm from California, not from Norris City. I don't know how to build or farm or anything, but we have an organic farm now and doing everything, raising goats and fish and chickens and everything like that, way beyond my capacity. But I tell you, in these days, that's all he's requiring from us. Our continual trust, our continual obedience, and our continual yes. So this is what I want to do. Ministry team, if you could come up, I'm going to have you just help us pray. And so the first one, if you want to step out of the boat and onto the water, and if you feel like God is asking you to do something beyond your capacity, and it could even be, it doesn't have to be going to a nation. It could just be something that beyond your comfortability. I'm not signing you up for a mission trip to Thailand right now. That's not but this church would get excited about that actually. That's not what I'm asking you. But whatever the Lord is calling you out, because he's calling us all deeper and further. He's speaking to us all, come, come, come. So if that's you and it's your first time of just answering a surrender and a trust and obedience, or if it's just you've gotten too comfortable and you want to respond to what he's speaking to your heart, whatever it is, I say come right now. Just step out of your feet and just come up, and we're going to pray for you. So that's the first one. And the second one is maybe you tried it before. Maybe you walked on water, and maybe you thought you failed in some kind of way. Maybe you thought not you failed, but it didn't go the way you thought. It didn't happen the way you thought, or it wasn't easy. And it caused you to withdraw. It caused you to be gun shy. It caused you to not step out like that or be so adventurous in God and live the God kind of life. And God's saying, do it again, son, do it again. If that's you, I want you to come up here and I want to pray for you in this next season. Because it's not just a one-time call. It's just not a one-time yes. It's a continual yes. And not just, he was already walking on water. It's a continual yes of staying on the water. Staying on the water, even when it gets hard, even when the waves are roaring, staying on the water.
We hope you enjoyed this message today and that you connected with Jesus. If this message has changed your life and you accepted Jesus as your Savior, you can text the word New Life to the number 618-243-0900. We would love to celebrate with you. If you would like to give to the ministry of The Roads Church, visit our website, www.theroads.church, for all of our giving options. We would also like to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel to receive notifications of our Sunday live services and to discover more of Pastor Chad's teachings. And now we pray that you experience God's presence throughout your day.